everybody, it's Michelle, and I have got the best trick to show you guys today. You guys may or may not know I'm pretty frugal when it comes to my crafting supplies, and I also like to DIY as much as I possibly can. And I have found a cheaper alternative to colored pencil blending solution. And I've been having a little bit of trouble choosing a favorite coloring medium. And my favorite has always been colored pencils, but I just don't like that scratchy look that it leaves when you use those. And I'm going to show you guys a way to blend those out and smooth out your coloring. And I'm only using Crayola, something very inexpensive you can get right at Walmart or any department store. You don't have to go to a special craft supply store, which is really good for me because I don't have one in my area. So I'm going to be showing you that today with the Crayola pencils, and I'm going to be using these paper blending stumps. This is some that I ordered online, and I also have this pack here by Pro Art brand, and I've got one out that I've been using out of that. And I will also leave a link to some that you guys can get also at Walmart. You'll be able to get everything that you need to do this at Walmart. The Crayola pencils, some of the blending stumps, and I have here a bottle. I just bought this bottle empty online, and I'll leave you a link to that too. I got that because it has the dauber top that you can press your paper blending stump into there and soak up that solution. But you don't even have to have this. You can use makeup sponges, also available at Walmart. And I just have these wedges here. You can take one of these and saturate it with the solution and just press your blending stump into that to get some of the solution onto your stump. And I have seen online they use a blending solution called Gamsol. And I don't have any of it, and I have never tried it, but I have seen other YouTubers use it, and it works beautifully. But it is a little on the expensive side. And for those of you like me who don't have an endless budget like some of these YouTubers do, I need to save money where I can, and then I can have as many craft supplies as I want when I can do it in a less expensive way. So here's the magic part. What I use in place of the Gamsol blending solution is just baby oil. And a little bottle, about the size of this empty bottle here that I bought, a little bottle of the Gamsol I have seen online for around $12 and more. And for this giant bottle of baby oil, I paid $2.48. So that is amazing, and that will really go a long, long way. I think if I use that only as blending solution, that would last me the rest of my life. That is going to last forever. And I just made sure to get the plain baby oil, none that had any added aloe or anything like that. Just baby oil. And I'm going to show you guys how well that blends. I just love it. I've got some stamped images here that I'm going to be coloring in. And the stamp sets that I used to stamp out those images was Thanks a Bushel from Lawn Fawn and Brutiful by May Made It. And I'll leave you guys links to those in the description also if you want to get those stamp sets and create these images. So first of all, I'm just going to take out some of my colored pencils. And like I said, I'm just using Crayola, nothing fancy. Same thing that the elementary kids use, and it's what I have always used. Like I said, I never was real happy with the way the pencils leave a scratchy look, but they're my favorite medium to use, and they're what I'm most comfortable with, and I'm so glad that I found a way to make them blendable and smooth. Let's see, I'm just choosing a few colors here. I'm going to take that sort of fleshy color for some parts of my apples because I want to show you guys how you can blend out one color and make a little bit of a gradient effect, as well as blending multiple colors together. We'll just start with those for now and work on our apples, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to color one side of my apple in that fleshy sort of color and a little bit of pink, maybe blending in toward that, and then some of my red, and just get your color however you're going to want it. If you want it dark, go ahead and lay it on dark. If you want it light, put it on light. And I'm putting a little bit of a burgundy down at the bottom where it may be shadowed. Okay, and I hope you guys can see that with colored pencils, it does leave it a little bit scratchy. I've got outside the lines a little bit. I'm going to try to erase that before I get started blending. Clean up my edges there a little bit. Okay, and you guys can see it's a little bit scratchy, and the colors don't blend together. They just look like one color laying next to another. So I'm going to wet the tip of my blending stump with my blend. Whoops, let's see if I can get that up. Pretend you didn't see that. Okay, so I've got my stump wet with the baby oil or my blending solution, and I'm just going to color over what I've already done with that blending stump. And this red is going to pull into some of that flesh tone that I used up toward the top and give a pinkish look to that as a highlighted area. And saturating this paper stump is really what helps to control so that you only get a small amount instead of a big blob like my spill down here, but you only get a small amount actually onto the surface, just enough to loosen up that waxy finish of the colored pencil so that you can get a good blend. So you guys can see that that just smooths it out. And what I like about this versus Copic markers or something like that, once you get too much color down with a Copic marker or other alcohol markers, it really just bleeds beyond the lines of what you're coloring. And with this, I can blend and blend and blend, and I'm never adding more color, just blending solution. So I can blend and blend without adding more color and not add more color until I'm ready. So that way it won't bleed out past the area that I'm trying to color, and it really controls it on my image there, and I like that a lot. Also, I forgot to show you guys this here. Let me zoom back out and show you. This is my little sander. It's just a wooden handle with stapled on layers, several sheets on there of sandpaper. And for that you can just sand to clean off the color from your paper stump if you want to use a new color, or to give that a sharper edge. And I like to rub along like that, and then you'll get kind of a fuzzy nib at the end, and then I just go back against that to remove that fuzz. And I've got a clean new tip ready to color with. And I'll leave a link to where you guys can get some of those as well. So if you guys don't spill the oil on your surface, I shouldn't have turned that upside down. I should have just pressed in like that and got my tip wet. But it's going to make for a beautiful image. So now I'm going to color a little bit on my teacup. And I've got a couple of different colors here, both in sort of a teal shade. And before I add the lighter one, I want to show you guys what you can do if you want to just color with one color and then just blend that out. And when you're putting down this color, you don't really have to be super careful about how it goes on. You don't have to be real particular. So I'm just going to lay down this color sort of on the bottom portion where it would be the darkest. And since I do want that area dark, I'm going to go ahead and lay it down dark. And then I'll also make sure that there's enough color for me to pull away from there and get it up toward the top. So I'm going to take my blending stump, and also if you're doing larger areas, you can use one of the larger stumps if you want to do that. As a matter of fact, I think I will. So I just saturate the tip and start blending. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just going over where the pencil is already and smooth out where that area is already colored in. And then I'm going to get some more solution and come back and blend up into the other area. And just pull that color up. And you can see how you can pull that color and then you get a gradient kind of look. And I've chosen watercolor cardstock to work with here. And just to tell you the truth, I think it's not getting as smooth even as it did on just regular cardstock. So let's stamp our images again and show you how it does on regular cardstock. Okay, so I've stamped my images again, this time on Nina Bright White 65-pound cardstock. And if I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, I just stamped those with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And that does not move with the baby oil, so that is great for stamping your images when you're going to be using the baby oil. So we're going to see how this cardstock compares to the performance of the baby oil on that. And again, I'm going to color in my image here. And you'll see how much smoother that is. You can probably already tell even the colored pencils just go on smoother. And then get my paper stump again and start smoothing that out. And when you first start to apply, that colored area soaks up a little bit of your oil. So I always do that area first and get it smooth, and then come back with more to pull it up into the lighter area. And I really like to play around with my coloring and work with it and work with it and get it as perfect as I can. And with this, like I said before, you can work with it and work with it without really getting too much color to saturate your paper the way you do with alcohol markers. And you can see how that makes a gradient effect. But it does only pull it so far. I'm going to go ahead and come in with my lighter turquoise color and just color that in lightly. Actually, if you wanted to, you can use that same color and just color a little more lightly toward the top. And then smooth it out with your blending stump. And you can see on that top rim, I barely made a couple of scratches across that, but it was enough color once I blended it out to fill that in completely. And I think that looks so good. And I'm going to go back again over to my apple and see how that does on our smooth white cardstock. Color that flesh colored top. And a little bit of pink. Red. And you can't really like blend it out for 100 miles or anything, so you'll see that the blending is a lot better on a smaller image. But it still works really great on the larger images. That's why I wanted to go ahead and do one of those to show you guys. I wasn't able to pull it from here all the way up to the top of the brim, but just do a little bit lighter coloring in there and smooth it all out, and you can bring some of that and give that gradient effect. So I'm going to saturate the tip of my stump. I'm going to start blending. And look what a beautifully blended apple you get. I think that is wonderful. It's like magic. I just love this. So I'm going to show you a couple of more blending color combinations. I'm going to turn this where I can work with it a little better. I'm going to color sort of a light tan on my basket. And again, I'm just really scratching that on lightly. And I'm going to let the baby oil do all my blending for me. I'm taking a darker brown here. And I'm going to add a little bit of shading under the band and along the left side. And maybe a little bit more of my tan. And then I'm going to use the new end of my blending stump. Just blend that all in. And look what a beautiful blending effect. It just comes out so smooth. I absolutely love this. And then I'm going to do the same colors on the bands of the basket, but I'm just going to put a little bit of the tan up toward the top where that band would be highlighted. And I'm going to use the dark brown on the majority of the area so that we get a band much darker than the rest of our basket. And again, just come in with my blending stump saturated with the oil and just smooth it all out. And if you guys can tell, I'm pulling that dark up into the light a little bit. So that you can clearly tell it is a dark brown, just a highlighted or reflective area of that. A lot of these baskets come with metal bands around them, and it could be that. And again, look at that blending. I just can't get over this. And I think I'm going to do those browns in my teacup. Just a little bit of light up at the top of the brim. And my darker brown, almost black, all along the bottom there. Deeper inside the cup and more into the shadowed area. And you guys can see what a separation of color we've got going on there. And maybe that's a little bit larger of a brown area that you can tell a little bit more about that blending. So I'm going to come in and blend in my dark area first and just kind of smooth all of that dark coloring. And then I'm going to pull it up into my light area. And again, come back for more oil if it stops blending for you. And you can come back and add more color if you want to. Add some more of that light. Lightly scribble in a little bit of the darker. And that is another thing that I like about this versus alcohol markers. With alcohol marker, you swipe it once and you've pretty much got full saturation of your paper and you get that dark color. But with pencils, you can scribble lightly or you can apply pressure and color it in much darker. As it layers, you get a much different color, or a deeper saturation of color, I should say. And then just pull that right up into that light area. And you've got blended tea with the highlighted area up there at the top. Darker area here as it goes deeper into your teacup. And we'll go ahead and do some greens on the leaves. I've got a lighter green here that I'm going to do toward the highlighted area, and then take a darker green and come into the darker areas of the leaf and just blend those right together. And I won't bore you guys with watching me color the rest of these apples, but you can see how beautifully that blends. I just love that. I do want to show you guys my tester page for the very first time I tried this out. And I was so impressed. I just love this. And this is, again, those apples from Thanks a Bushel by Lawn Fawn. And this set is called Gingerbread by May Made It. And look at that blending. You can see on the roof line here, I went from a dark edge on that roof line at the bottom to lighter up at the top, and it just blends so beautifully. And a gradient effect on my door, and then in my little icing bags here, I blended multiple colors together, and you can see they just blend so seamlessly. I love it. On my gingerbread girl here, I did a little bit of darker areas around the edges to see how that would blend. And my favorite part, look at these lollipops. I did sort of a rainbow effect where the colors just faded into each other, and I think they blended beautifully. I did the same technique on my apples here. I did a yellow apple, and look at that blending. I just love it, you guys. This is my new favorite way to color. So don't waste your money on blending solution. Go to Walmart and get some baby oil. I'll have the links for this, for the blending stumps, for the little dauber top bottle here, as well as the makeup applicator sponges if you prefer to do it that way. But I think this is the way to go to blend those colored pencils with baby oil instead of that expensive solution. So you guys, leave a comment below and let me know if you like it. Let me know if you're going to try this technique, or if you have tried it, how did it work out for you? I want to know. I found that it works best and blends the smoothest just on regular smooth cardstock, better than it does on watercolor paper. Again, you can see here is my example on the watercolor paper. It did blend and it did move that color, but it did it so much better on the smooth cardstock. So I hope you guys give it a try, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I had so much fun with this, and I can't wait to do some more coloring. This is so much fun, and I just really love that smooth and blended look that you get. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Give me a like over on my Facebook page, and be sure to join our Facebook group, Crafty Minds. And if you do any of this coloring or any other craft projects that you want to share, it's a great place to share over there in the Facebook group. Also, follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and don't forget to visit my blog. I'll have the links to all of those in the description below, so be sure and check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.